Cinemassacre Monster Madness, a tribute to Roger Corman. This year, we lost a legend. The Hollywood rebel, the king of exploitation cinema, Roger Corman, passed away on May 9th, 2024, at the age of 98. And I have a handful of reviews coming up to honor his legacy. A couple years ago, I made a tribute to Roger Corman, which I think is a pretty good introduction, and I'd recommend it as a starting point. So go watch that if you haven't. It seemed not only appropriate, but mandatory to dedicate this year's Monster Madness to him. If it wasn't for Roger Corman, we wouldn't have had nearly as much material. In the past, I've reviewed Little Shop of Horrors, The Wasp Woman, The Terror, Targets, Galaxy of Terror, Frankenstein Unbound, and in the first year, I made a very brief retrospective of his Edgar Allan Poe series. But the man has over 500 films to his credit, so I've only scratched the surface. He's done westerns, gangster films, road race films, biker films, just about everything, but obviously we're going to focus on his horror and monster films. There will be a lean towards films he directed, but also ones he's produced. As long as his name is attached in some way, it's fair game. So where do we start? Well, how about A Bucket of Blood from 1959? It all started when AIP, American International Pictures, wanted to make a horror film, but only had $50,000. So in came Roger Corman, who shot it in 5 days. 5 days! And that was beating his record of 6 days. That's according to his book, How I Made 100 Films in Hollywood and Never Lost a Dime. The plot is rather similar to Mystery the Wax Museum from 1933 and its remake, House of Wax, 1953, starring Vincent Price. It's only similar in the concept of a guy who kills people and puts their bodies inside wax sculptures. Except here, it's clay. And also it has a dark, comedic tone and is more of a satire of art culture. The setting is a coffee shop or some kind of art house cafe where people go up and perform poetry and showcase abstract artwork. Our main character is a busboy named Walter who has a passion for being an artist but lacks the know-how. One night at his apartment, his landlord's cat somehow gets stuck in the wall.
Oh, what's the matter, Frankie? How'd you get yourself stuck in a wall?
I would say this is pretty ridiculous, although I once had a cat that actually got stuck in a wall a long time ago. It all turned out fine, the cat was okay, but here's what happened. She climbed into the ceiling. This was a basement ceiling that was unfinished, so there's a gap somewhere that she was able to fall behind, right behind the goddamn wall. So my dad had to cut a hole in the wall, and he managed to get the cat out safely. However, the cat in this movie is not so lucky. Walter tries to open the wall with a knife and accidentally stabs and kills the cat. That's fucked up! Don't you hate it in movies when they kill cats and dogs? Of course it's not real, but doesn't it piss you off? I mean, who cares how many characters die as long as they're human? So what does he do? He covers the cat in clay to turn it into a work of art.
You like it?
But the really weird thing is that he leaves the knife in it as part of the piece. He brings it to the cafe and all of a sudden everybody thinks he's some kind of genius artist, not knowing that there's a real dead cat inside.
Cat dead. Details later.
What I find funny is that he calls it Dead Cat.
Dead cat?
Dead cat? That's its name?
Sure.
Dead Cat. He can't come up with anything better than that. But now he enjoys this whole new level of respect he's gotten. But the next turn of events is when he ends up killing a person. It's a weird set of circumstances, but basically he has some narcotics and an undercover cop comes into his apartment. But this cop or whatever is pointing a gun at him, so it's more like an act of self-defense. He clobbers him with a frying pan, not intending to kill him, but he does. The landlord comes in to see what the noise was all about, so he has to hide the body in the ceiling apparently. The arm dangles while he has to divert her attention. I like this. It's a funny little scene where he's trying to cover up what happened. Take a guess what he does next. Covers the body in clay and brings it to the art house. The reveal of the face is a doozy. It's actually a pretty scary looking face, and by the reactions you can tell everyone is horrified yet impressed. They think it's his ultimate masterpiece, and from that point on, he's seen by everyone as this incredible artist. He starts getting paid for it, and he becomes a big shot around the cafe. Women want to pose for him nude for free, and you could tell where this is all going. He keeps murdering people, making horrific clay sculptures to maintain his credibility. As it goes on, he gets more paranoid, more drunk, and starts losing his mind. Walter is real fun to watch. He's played by Dick Miller, who was a regular, appearing in over 20 Roger Corman films and something like 180 films in total. My generation would probably know him best from all his appearances in the 80s, such as Mr. Futterman in Gremlins, and as the gun shop salesman who gets his face blown off by the Terminator. So he's just the guy, one of those faces you gotta love. There's kind of a funny story about how Dick Miller met Roger Corman. He contributes a section in Corman's book telling how actor Jonathan Hayes brought him into Corman's office, and according to the book, the conversation went like this. "What do you do? I'm a writer. Need any scripts? No, I've got scripts. I need actors. Well, I'm an actor then. Fine, you're hired." And that's how it went. Yeah, the rest is history. I guess that's how things went in those days. If you needed somebody, you said, "Hey, you." And if you wanted a job, you just said, "Sure." Next thing you know, you're in 180 films. What makes Bucket of Blood so special is that it's the first dark comedy of its kind. Corman was aware he was creating a new kind of mix. I doubt he knew for sure it was going to work, but he certainly took a chance. In his book, he speaks very fondly of this film. He said it brought a new sense of awareness to his work. He said making it felt like a party and everyone was having a good time. It's seen as a satire of the abstract art scene, commenting on its pretentious nature. And having gone through an art college, I can say that pretentiousness does exist sometimes. It's also notable for its portrayal of teenagers and what was commonly called beatnik culture. Corman's films often depicted teen characters, usually played by young adults. Corman was a director who worked outside the system, so he liked teen characters. They represented a new wave, a new movement, and had that rebellious spirit. The dark comedy aspect was such a hit that Corman immediately followed it with another film with a similar tone. For this one, he used a set from another movie that was about to be torn down. He asked them to leave it up just for a little bit, and then he finished shooting a whole other movie in 2 days. A new record. Only 2 goddamn days. And that film became, guess what? Little Shop of Horrors, starring Jonathan Hayes and with an appearance by a young Jack Nicholson. After that, he shot Creature from the Haunted Sea, the one with the goofy-ass creature with the tennis ball eyes and ping-pong pupils. Together, Bucket of Blood, Little Shop, and Creature from the Haunted Sea make up the Corman comedy trilogy. 3 films shot in a span of about 2 weeks. All with screenplays by Charles B. Griffith. Now you know why he was the king when it came to fast filmmaking. So check in soon. I got a handful more of these reviews scattered over the month as we salute the king.